Hi there, my name is Vicki Cosio. I'm 49 years old and welcome to my humble abode in Felton, California. So I'm probably the only woman that you'll ever meet that's actually happy about turning 50 next month. And the reason is because I've spent the last 25 years in law enforcement, and at 50 that's the earliest age you can retire. So as of next month I turn 50 and I'm retiring. I'm so excited because this is actually putting me on the path that I want to pursue. My goal, my whole being right now just wants to bring vegan food to the masses to show people how delicious and awesome vegan food is. So, but first, before I tell you what we're going to be cooking and everything, I want to introduce my husband, Roy. He's the one behind the camera. He's right here. Hi.
Hello.
And we have two awesome dogs that are on the floor, and she likes to bark a lot, so I'm going to have to give her a Kong while we're talking. Otherwise, the video will all be about her. So, this is my beautiful girl, Cassie. Cassie, can you say hi for the camera? She said no, but I want the peanut butter anyways. And this is Jessie. What are you doing? This is my beautiful girl, Jessie. Roy says we look alike, especially in the morning when our hair is messed up. She has beautiful hair, but she's lucky she doesn't have to dye hers. Okay, there you go. So why don't you come on in to our vegan kitchen, and I'll give you a tour. It'll take about 5 seconds because kitchen's really like a postage stamp, but it works. It's cozy. It's kind of like my woman cave. My husband has his man cave, which is the restroom, like most men, and then I'm in here. So come on in a little bit more, and I'll show you. It does have its pluses. I can reach anything really, and I have my cooking utensils here and my spices here. And I'll tell you the worst thing about my kitchen is I have to say the stove. Have you ever seen anything so awful? A Spectra GE stove. It's pretty bad. But my husband and I were really frugal, so we're just gonna wait till it dies and then we'll get another one. But it's kind of a far cry from our other stove, our other kitchen. We were lucky enough to have our house built, and I actually got to design the kitchen, and I love my stove. It was 5 burners, gas with a warming tray, so far cry from the Spectra. So let me show you some of my favorite things in the kitchen. And I was thinking that maybe my most favorite maybe gadget or utensil was the coffee grinder, because it grinds my nuts for like vegan Parmesan or grinds my whole spices. But I'd have to say I think my favorite gadget is the rabbit. So let me show it to you. No, not that rabbit from Sex and the City. This rabbit. I love it. So for those of you who don't know, it's a wine opener. I have about 20 other ones, but this one's the best, and it comes with a lifetime warranty or a 10-year warranty. I'm not sure which one, but after 2 years mine broke, and it was probably from overuse. But anyways, this is my favorite of all things. And my second favorite would be my Riedel glasses. They make wine taste so awesome. But as you can see, this one's a little dusty because I'm terrified to use them. They're so expensive, I'm afraid I'm gonna break them. And that's because if I look at a wine glass, I break it. So wine glasses and me really don't mesh. But let me get out what we're gonna open and have with dinner. And we're gonna have the Quinta Cruz Tempranillo. So they're a local winery. It's actually an offshoot, I think, of Santa Cruz Mountain Winery. Their Tempranillo is awesome. And I actually worked at a couple of wineries when I left law enforcement for a while. And Tempranillo is awesome. It's it's the most popular red grape in Spain, and it's very big in the Rioja region. And Tempranillo used to be used a lot as a blending grape, but now it's kind of got its own cult following. So, and I like it for its earthiness and its berry flavors. It's awesome. So let me show you how the rabbit works. So first of all, foil cutters, very important for your fingernails, but I don't have any, so that doesn't matter. So foil comes off, and watch this. This is like so awesome. So easy. No muss, no fuss. Off in 2 seconds. So, I don't know, did I tell you that mine broke after 2 years? Did I already say that? Because it did. But like I said, it was from overuse. So anyways, let me pour a little bit. And when I was at the winery, I was lucky enough to work with this awesome manager, great guy, taught me a lot. And one of the things he had taught me was how to really get the aromas out of the wine was to cover it most of the way and stick your nose in there. Ah, awesome berries. A little bit of leather. The problem he didn't tell me is that when you're Italian and you have a big nose, it could be very dangerous and it could get stuck. But anyways, cheers. So we're going to have this with dinner. And then let me tell you a little bit about what I made or what I'm making. So I'm making a Peruvian dish called Meat-o Saltado because my husband's from Peru. And so this is seitan that's been marinating in cilantro, cumin, smoked paprika, garlic, red pepper, olive oil, and balsamic vinegar. And basically, Meat-o Saltado is a Peruvian stir fry, and it's really hard to explain because it's such a odd combination, and it's so delicious. I've never had anybody like not love it. So basically, it's a stir fry of the seitan, and then you add caramelized onions and tomatoes, and it's cooked in a broth, and then you throw baked French fries on top of it, which I already did. So let me take those out. And that's actually the hardest part. So these are 4 or 5 Yukon Gold potatoes that I roasted with some olive oil and smoked paprika and garlic powder. But the hardest part is actually not eating all of the French fries before you actually get to the dish. So we have that going. And let's see, what else can I get over here? Let me put away the cumin, get some things out of the way here. So I have to say, you know, my biggest influence probably for cooking, hands down, is the animals. When I found out what happened to animals on factory farms, I just could not, in good conscience, contribute to that anymore, and I went vegan overnight, and that was 14 years ago. So my goal is to show everybody how delicious vegan food is without giving up any flavors or textures or anything like that. I have to say my second influence was my sissy. She's a foodie in her own right, and she's the one who got me into food. She gave me my first subscription to Bon Appetit, and used to buy me like flavored peppers and vinegars, and I'm like, what are these for? You know, I didn't even know what they were. So anyways, you know, and the other thing too is I wanted to tell you that my job is just so stressful, and I'm so glad to be starting a new chapter in my life. And there's 2 things in my life that have really like just kept me going and has allowed me to continue in law enforcement without killing myself. And that's sports, and the other thing is food and wine. So when I come into the kitchen, so my days like this, like I normally go out and I work full time. Then as soon as I come home, I go work out, which is why I'm in my tennis clothes. And then I come home, walk the dogs, and then I make dinner. So when I come in here, it's kind of like my Zen experience. I get out all my Putumayo CDs. I love world music. Put them in the stereo here. My husband makes fun of my stereo. He calls it a girl's stereo. But anyways, I like it. Put it in my stereo, and then I just start cooking. And it's just a really great de-stressor for me. You know, sitting down to a great home-cooked meal with love and enjoying a glass of wine. There really doesn't get anything better than that. So anyways, okay, on to the dish. So let me kind of explain a little bit about what comes next. So a little earlier, I caramelized some onions, and I like to top it off at the very end. When I caramelize them, I like to put a little bit of agave nectar on it. Adds a little sweetness. So I'm gonna take the onions that I already caramelized and stick them in here on a plate and just kind of set them aside. And I'm gonna add a little bit more olive oil to the pan. And gonna throw my seitan in there as soon as it gets hot. Wait a couple of minutes so I can gab a little more while we're doing this. I have no loss for words, as you can tell, being Italian. Let me tell you that I didn't always start off liking to cook. My earliest cooking memory is actually not very positive. I was 7 or 8 years old, and my sister and I decided in the middle of the night that we were going to make cookies. It was probably maybe 11 o'clock, and my mom was already in bed. So I have to digress a little and tell you a little bit about my mother. She's extremely clean. I mean, obsessive, psycho clean. She used to pine sol our garage floors. I mean, you could literally eat off the garage floor. And she would also pine sol our hairbrushes, our toothbrushes. Now as an adult looking back, I think she was probably trying to poison us, but you know, back then that was just what she did, and so she didn't like a mess in the kitchen. So my sister and I made these cookies. Mine was awful. It was probably flour and water and sugar, and I stuck it in the oven, and she woke up and we got in trouble. So that was like my earliest memory of cooking. So it wasn't really positive. So when I went out on my own and I got older, I kind of just learned on my own, and with the help of my sister and Bon Appetit and magazines and cookbooks, I just became a pretty good cook. But veganism is what really opened up my cooking and kind of allowed me to shine. I went into all these areas of cuisines that I never would have ever, you know, even experienced. I love cooking Thai and Indian and South American and Italian, and just the flavors are awesome. So anyways, the pan's hot, so what I'm gonna do, take the seitan and stir fry it a little bit. I'm gonna get out my vegan bouillon. Now you can make your own veggie broth if you want, or vegan broth. I wish I had the time. Us girls that work full time, we have to get the shortcuts in when we can. So I'm going to use a vegan bouillon when it comes that time to use it. And in the meantime, I'm going to chop up some dry farm tomatoes. And I don't know if you guys have dry farm tomatoes where you are, but we are so lucky in Santa Cruz County to have dry farm tomatoes. They are the most amazing thing you'll ever taste. They are basically put in the ground in April when the ground is still wet and they're never watered. So their roots have to go down really, 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 really deep to get water. And at the time of the harvest, which is usually at the very end of summer, oh my God, they're fruit bombs. They are the most delicious things you will ever taste. And these are the last of the ones for the summer. You know, every week I go to the farmer's market and they're like, okay, this is the last bunch, and I want to cry. And then the next week there's still a few more. So anyways, they're like candy. They're just the most amazing things I've ever had, and I can eat them on everything. But they really add a lot to a dish. I mean, there's no substitute for a dry farm. You can have an heirloom, and I'm sure those will be delicious, but these are actually just uber delicious. So anyways, stir frying the seitan a little bit, and I gotta get into the pantry for a second, because while you're stir frying the seitan, you want to add a little bit of balsamic vinegar to it. I love the smell of cumin and cilantro. 2 are my favorite spices, so it's a good thing I married a Peruvian. A little bit more. And this comes together really quick when you already have all the ingredients down and ready. So, I'm gonna just let it cook for another 30 seconds or so. Gonna get my broth ready. So I'm gonna pour about 2 cups of water in here. And add it to the pan. Increase my heat a little bit. That's what I miss so much about having a gas stove, is you can regulate your temperature so much better. This is kind of, the Spectra's kind of lame. All right. So here goes my vegan broth. This is the best vegan broth on the market, or bouillon. Put in about a tablespoon or so. Going to bring that up to a quick boil. And in the meantime, I'm going to add my caramelized onions back to the pot, to the pan. And I don't like my tomatoes mushy, so I'm going to add them actually at the very last second. And you can keep your broth kind of saucy if you're a saucy girl or man, or you can thicken it up with some cornstarch or flour. I kind of like to keep mine saucy because I usually serve this over rice with quinoa, so it ends up absorbing all of the flavors. So come on, Spectra, we need you to heat up a little faster. All right, so let me add the tomatoes. Beautiful dry farm. We should have a funeral for you. I feel so bad that I'm not going to see you for a while. And then let that cook for a second. Now we're going to add the lovely French fries, which I'm surprised I didn't eat all of them. And we're going to toss that a little bit around, heat everything through. And then pretty soon comes my finishing touches. So for the encore, what we're going to do is a cilantro garlic aioli that goes on the top. I'm going to chop up some of my cilantro. Some we're actually going to put on the dish just for beautiful color. The other half's going to go in my blender with the aioli that's already in there. And remember I told you we were frugal? I got to show you this. So my sister got me this at a garage sale, this Oster, and it's outlasted every blender I've ever had. So when I was telling you I'm frugal, yes, it's really what you see. About 2 months ago, I was in the kitchen and knocked it over on the granite and it broke. And I'm so frugal, I have not gone out to buy another canister. So until the time when I'm scraping out my cashew cheese and I sever an artery, I guess I'm just going to keep using this. So let me, and the last step for the aioli, going to add a little bit of almond milk. You could also add soy milk, it doesn't matter. Let me check how this is coming. Turn down the heat a little bit on that. And we're going to blend this up. Isn't that pretty? And really tasty too. So now it's time to plate everything. So I'm gonna get a really pretty plate, and like I said, this dish traditionally is served over rice. Come on over here. Pour that into the pot. I know my husband, his mouth is watering right now because it's one of his favorite childhood dishes. And gonna sprinkle the garlic aioli, cilantro aioli on the top. And finish it with a little more cilantro. Isn't that beautiful? And delicious.